Hello everyone, welcome to this tutorial. I'm going to show you how to measure buba. So for cutting of buba, the measurement needed is from the middle of the neck down to the desired length of the sleeve. So for this mannequin, I'm going to measure her this way from the middle of the neck down to the desired length of the sleeve. So her measurement is 20 inches here. So and again, to know the circumference of the buba, you are going to use the larger size of your body measurements, that is your hip. So and for her hip is her hip is 35. So we are going to use 35 for the wideness of the buba. So how about the length of the buba? You are going to measure the person from the shoulder line down to like 2 inches or 1 inches above the navel, depends on what the person wants. So for her, I'm going to use 23. That is the length of the buba. Then we have the round sleeve. How do you determine the round sleeve? That is the wideness of the sleeve. So the wideness of the sleeve is going to be your armhole. You're going to add like 1.5 to 3 inches. But for her, I'm going to add 1.5. So her armhole is 8 inches. I'm going to add 1.5, making 10 inches for her wideness of the sleeve. So for the cutting, you are going to lengthwise, you are going to measure 23, her length, in 2 places. You are going to measure her length in 2 places. Excuse me. Just trying for you to see my table. Okay. So to determine the length, you are going to measure her length, which we've measured 23, into 2 places. That is 46 long. 46 long. So going to take your fabric and measure 46 inches long. So this is 48 plus sewing allowance of 2 inches. So when you measure 46 inches long, you are going to fold it into 2, right side facing right side. Going to fold it into 2 this way. After folding it into 2 one time, we are going to fold it into 2 again the second time, so to get the wideness of the buba, that is the buba circumference. And mind you, if you are using fabric that have pattern, you are going to be mindful of the pattern so that the pattern aligns so well. So this one has a stripe pattern, a vertical line that runs across the fabric. So you are going to lie it so well so that the pattern will align, so that the plain side will be at the center and the pattern will follow. So you are going to do it this way. So to know the wideness, the circumference, just as I've said, you are going to use the hip measurement, and her hip measurement is 35. So you are going to add 3 inches to the hip measurement, so that it will be free, because buba is a free blouse. So you are going to add 3 inches, making 38. So after adding 3 inches to this measurement, you are going to divide 38 by 4 inches, that is 9.5. So you are going to add ½ inches sewing allowance, that equals 10. So from the beginning of this folded area, you are going to measure 10 inches. 10 inches plus sewing allowance of ½ inches, that gives us 10.5. So you are going to mark. You're going to mark. So you measure and mark 10.5. So then you're going to mark it and make sure it's straight. 10.5. Going to mark the down 10.5. So it's along the grain, so because it has pattern, so it's easy for me to follow the pattern. So for easy so that your fabric will stay in place, we are going to cut the needed measurement so that we'll be able to flow easily. So I'm going to cut it out. You needed only 10.5. Mindful of your pattern. So that is what we need. So this is the body. So we're going to determine the neck. The width of the neck is going to be 3.5. 3.5, so that by the time you sew it, you have 4 inches. So the depth of the neck is going to be 3 inches. By the time you sew it, you have 3.5 inches. So you are going to cuff it, whether with your ruler or with your hand, and cut. So this is the neck of the buba. So the shoulder is closed. There's no shoulder slanting. There's nothing, no manipulation on the shoulder. So the only thing you are going to note is the armhole. Just as I've said, her armhole is 8, so I'm going to add 1.5 inches, making 9.5. So I'm going to measure 9.5 or 10 inches for her armhole this way. So I'm going to notch. I'm going to notch the armhole area so that I'll be able to know where my armhole is starting. So I've notched the armhole, and this is the shoulder line. I'm going to notch it. This is the shoulder line here. I'm going to notch it. So and I'm going to trim the down part. I'm going to trim it so that we have a smooth edge this way. So now I'm going to take it away. So you're going to take note of this armhole is 10 inches. So I'm going to cut the sleeve. So to determine the sleeve length, the measurement that I measure from the middle of the neck at the back to her desired length of her sleeve is 20 inches. So for me to know the amount of sleeve I'm going to cut now, I'm going to remove my body circumference, the divided body circumference, and the divided body circumference is 10.5. So I'm going to remove 10.5 from the 20 inches that I got from the measurement from the middle of the neck at the back to the sleeve. I'm going to remove the body part of the measurement from the sleeve so that I can actually get the remaining sleeve length that she needs. So I'm going to take my fabric again. Now we're going to cut 9.5 sleeve. 9.5. So I'm going to look at the grain again. I want the line of the sleeve to run vertically, just as the body, the line run vertically. I don't want it to run horizontal. So I'm going to take note of that. So I'm going to cut the two sleeves together, and the pattern is going to be the same way. So I've folded them together. The pattern, just as I did for the other one, the pattern is going to kiss each other. And take note of your pattern. Any fabric that has pattern, take note of how the pattern runs and let it align so that the body and the sleeve with the, if it has some lower body, maybe a skirt or the down part, everything will align nicely. So now I've laid my fabric accordingly. I've aligned the pattern, the vertical pattern on the sleeve. So I'm going to measure a guideline from here. It's my guideline. And for the sleeve, this will be my folded edge, and this will be the, so from this guideline I'm going to measure 9 inches. I'll add my hemming allowance of 1.5 inches. So 9 plus 1, 9.5 plus 1.5 inches, that is 11 inches. So I'm going to measure 11 inches. 11 inches long, and the wideness is 10 inches. So I'm going to measure 10 inches from the joining side and add 1 inch seam allowance, so 11 inches. 11 inches this way. 11 inches. So I'm going to cut it out. I'll cut the two sleeves together. I'm going to cut it out this way. Added my joining allowance to the measurement. Then I'm going to show you a trick again in the buba sleeve. So this is the sleeve. It's 11 inches wide. I've added sewing allowance and 9.5 long, and this 9.5 end here. This 1.5 inches is the sewing allowance. So this is where it ends. So I'm marking on the wrong side of the fabric. Marking on the wrong side of the fabric. So it ends here. So now I will come down to the sleeve. I'm going to come down to the sleeve. This is the down part of the sleeve. I'm going to measure 1/2 inch here, 1/2 inch, and blend it this way. I'm going to measure 1/2 inch and blend it. It's like a dart, so that the down part will not be will not be protruding. So it will not be, I don't know which English I can use. So I slant it to meet the edge. So it's like a dart. So when you check here now, I have 1 inches at the down part. But when you check here now, you have 1.5 inches. So I'm going to notch here. This is where I'm going to join to the shoulder line, and this is where I'm going to hem for the sleeve, round sleeve. And the sewing allowance I added to this is 1 inches. So don't forget your sewing allowance. You sew accordingly so that you get the correct measurement. So that is it for the Iro and Buba cutting. And another thing is that most people that wear Iro and Buba already know their neck depth, their neck weight. So you should always ask them what is their preferred neck depth and width. Some people will even bring sample the buba they like. They will bring it for you to use. So use accordingly. And for the Iro, for medium and small size people, you use some 2 yards 9 inches. But for large size, if you want to cut it, you use 2 yards 2.5 yards. Then for extra large, you use 2 yards 22 inches. But it depends on what people want. Then another thing for the Iro, some people like to attach a rope to their Iro this way. Some people like to attach rope so that they will be able to tie it. You can see this one, it has a long rope at the back, so that when they tie it, they will be able to. And when you are tying it, you widen your leg this way, you go this way, and you come this way, and you tie the knot at the back. It's for most of us who doesn't know how to tie Iro, so that the rope will not fall off. And the strand at the back will form a beautiful rope sliding down. Can see it. Can see how it's looking at the back. So that is the essence of adding stripe at the back of your Iro. And there are some material, they are lacy material. Some people want the lacy material to be down on their Iro. So this one is a lacy material. You can see the lacy side is down, so that one you don't need to add seam allowance for hemming at the down part of it. The same thing go with the sleeve. You don't need to add allowance for the joining, and you don't need to slant any darts for the down part of the sleeve so that it will not protrude. So that is it for Iro and Buba cutting and measurement. So you can see the lacy Iro. It has the lacy side at the beginning, it has the lacy side at the end, so you cut accordingly. So there are so many modifications now with Iro and Buba. Some people use instead of using attaching sleeve, they use flare sleeve. And some people, the Iro, they attach gathers at the edge of the Iro, so that when they tie it, there will be fringes of ruffle at the edge. So however you like it, is still Iro and Buba. It's just the modification. So thank you for watching. Stay tuned to my channel. I'll be uploading more video for you to learn. Put your comment in the comment box. Subscribe to my channel, like and share. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.